Good morning. It's the UK heat wave. Bit of a different one today. We're at the pontoon. My wife Belinda and her sister Vanessa are coming down to enjoy the sun. There's a bit of east wind forecast, so we've got breakfast, lunch, wine for the ladies, and we'll see how the day goes. Might fit in a bit of fishing too. So that is coffee done, bacon done, and the ladies deposited on the beach behind me. I think it's important for sisters to have a little one-on-one time, so I'll go off fishing and give them that time. Wasn't sure what we're going to get out of today fishing wise. The ladies wanted it down the beach, so that's absolutely fine in the estuary. A local fishing match has been cancelled today because of the forecast 20+ knots of easterly wind. It's certainly not that bad. There was a bit of an east lump coming out here, but yeah, perfectly acceptable, but we'll keep an eye on that. So I've come out to a sandbank, which is much better than I thought we'd do, a few miles out to sea. We'll drift over it with some baited feathers. I've got some frozen mackerel, so we'll bait up some feathers, drift over that first, see what we can pick up, hopefully get some fresher bait, and then we'll take it from there. So this is it for the first drift. We've just got tinsel feathers, if I can get it in front of the camera, tinsel feathers with a little bit of mackerel on each one, little 4-ounce lead, and I'm using a spinning rod because it's more fun. We'll drop it down and see if there's anything about. First drift, but I've seen the line of the drift from when I was tackling up, so this will get me where I want to be. Just drifting over the bank. It's organic diving, which apart from being a lovely sight, is a good sign that there's life in the water. And also, according to the sounder, the water temperature is 19.2, so the strength of the sun in this heat wave has certainly warmed up the water. You don't often see 19 out to sea. There's a lot that won't take a baited feather. Reasonable bit of weight to this one. First drift is encouraging. Well, it's lovely, but of the things I was expecting on baited feathers, a little cod wasn't one of them. Isn't that lovely? Lovely spotted markings. Yep, can't keep that for bait though. See if we can go 2 fish on the same drift. Fish one and it's a cod, yes. Shame it's one to go back and not in the icebox, but I don't mind. Any of you are visiting South Devon and can't catch your own cod, Doddbrook Inn in Kingsbridge, best fish and chips around. Or if we're giving pubs the nod, try my local The Bear and Blacksmith in the village of Chillington, just outside Kingsbridge. Brilliant food all round. It is 2 fish off the same drift. And this has got a bit of weight to it too. The humble pout. I would quite happily put that one back as well really, but it won't survive. Some fish blow out, some fish don't. Cod are good, pouting not good, pollock not good, gurnards will all go back, that sort of thing. Ling won't. But it does make good bait, so yeah, I'll be using that in a bit. Slow drift with wind against tide, so may even pick up 3 fish from the same drift. Touch there. Yes, we will. Another pout. I don't know if you noticed, but the other one, its eyes were all blown, which is pressure trauma. This one's not, it's in decent condition, so give that a go. Yeah, happy days. He's swimming down nicely. Something's absolutely chewing at those pegs, so I'm going to rebait before. Rebaited, see if it can be a 4 fish drift. as soon as it hit the bottom. Yeah, so there's no point, just send it down to the bottom. Yeah. And that's where they are. Another pout, but a pout which I think will go back. So go back on the hook over him. Yeah, there he goes. That's good, but I don't want to catch pout after pout. It's okay on this shallow bit of the bank. The last two have gone back. I don't like to just catch fish after fish if they're not going back. One's enough for bait for me. So I'll re-rig, I think, with a strip of mackerel. Save that pout for a little bit later, and then set up for another drift and see what's cancel that, there are bass on the surface. I'll re-rig and come back. I've been looking at a little bit of bird activity, and I just happened to glance down and saw a sea of tiny little sand eagles and bass chasing them. I was going to say I can't see them, but something just had a little black light then. The birds have moved off, so if I don't do any good, I will move to the birds. But something definitely had a little flick at it then. Where the birds are apart. Just going to chuck that off the back, turn the ratchet down loose, drag down loose, and turn that with me. Keep an eye on the rod. Close inshore, but not often out to sea with them right on the surface like that. So yeah, really exciting way of catching fish if they're about. Are moving, so I'm going with them. Gulls are better than any fish finder. That is a nice bass off the surface with the little Biscay minnow tucked in the top of its mouth. Yes, just in the wrong place a little bit. You can see them on the surface. I'll see them chasing something close to the surface. Yes. No. Yes. I lost it. Just lightly hooked that, so I thought I'd go for the net. And that is another beauty of a bass. Well oversized. So I'm up to my quota. The tide slacked off, so yeah, just taking a little break. I've got the half fillet of mackerel out, but anything that you're going to take, I believe, anything that you're going to take needs to be treated well. I just saw something pop up then. Keep an eye on that. Yeah, anything that you're going to keep for the pot, you need to treat it well. It's no good leaving it out in the sun for the whole afternoon and then getting it home full of guts and whatever. So the bass, I have dispatched them and then bled them, which is just putting a knife around the gill plate really, and then changed the water a couple of times in the bucket here. So they're bled off. They're descaled. I descale them in that water as well, just because it saves any mess. And then my board here is 50 centimeters, so well within size. That's one. And that's the other one. So that was my first one that I estimated at 48, 50 from the outer edge on this board. So I'll now fillet those off and get them on ice in the igloo. There is fishery protection around here, which is a good thing, and they do come and check, which again is a good thing. They don't really like you filleting them at sea because there's no proof then of how big they were pre-filleted. So that's on video. If they do come on board, I'll have filleted them off, but they can see the two fish and they can and measure the board. That's the bass prepped. Two added advantages to filleting them at sea. One is that all of the rest of the fish goes back into the food chain rather than landfill, which is obviously a good thing. And the other is that the fillets can go in a much smaller box, which keeps your igloo nice and clean. So bait came out in that. Fish can go home in it. It'll need a final bit of cleaning up, just tidy it up. If it's too rough, I won't fillet them at sea, but it's perfectly fine today to do a fillet. And we'll have a clean down, and then hopefully the tide will start picking up. I like to keep the boat clean anyway. I put the deck wash on because they just use a lot less water than buckets. So yeah, I like to keep the boat clean. Wet fish product is a lot easier to get off than dried fish product. And apart from that, Mrs M and her sister on the beach, they don't want to come back to a fishing boat smelling of fish. So yeah, keep it clean, and then the ebb should be starting to happen. In fact, it looks like it is on the plotter now. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, hopefully the fish will start feeding. I think I'll switch to lures. Don't need any more bass. The bait is just getting absolutely slaughtered by pouting. So go on to lures and see if there are any bigger cod out. See you in a bit. Back onto the lures, and being a creature of habit, it's the 4-inch Joey imitation with the red tail and sidewinder. We're not in the full swing of the ebb yet, sort of going across tide, but I've just, while I was travelling along, just come over a feature which looks quite interesting, so I think we'll drift back over it. So we'll give it a go with the lure and see. Somebody's confident I'm going to catch something, and if you can hear that big black-backed gull just calling, that bass shoal must have been huge. I can't quite see it now. Bird activity was just continuing and continuing. If there was nothing else doing, I could have fished for more, but I would have probably just flattened the bar on the lure so you can catch and release with minimal damage. However, we'll give the lure a go, see if there are a few more of those cod around, but bigger versions hopefully. Or if not, it doesn't matter, it's a beautiful day. There's that feature. Just about on it. I don't know if there's anything on it, it just looks really interesting. Hopefully out of the way of the pollock with the pouting. Nice condition pollock, and good enough to go. Right, fish. We'll just have yeah, 1 or 2 drifts here, and then I might put the feathers back on. It'd be nice to take some mackerel home if there are any about. But we'll have a drift or 2 with this with the lure first. See if there's any whitefish to take home. Just about to come up on that shoulder now, so see if there's anything in there. it's a coalfish. Somebody else saying that they're making a bit of a resurgence. Certainly busy down there. Lovely pair of eating size fish. Fantastic, I love catching mackerel last thing. Absolute fresh off the take home. Had the Warrior very long, and I'm still getting used to it a little bit in terms of trim and ride. It won't look it on camera, it never does, but there's a bit of an old chop now from the east. So with that, there are a couple of options. We can wallow into it and the water will come over the tar, or we can get on top of it. And if I can do this holding the camera, bouncy but a dry ride, fairly quick-ish, 16 knots, and it'll get us back into port and we'll sort those fish out. See you there. I've been asked several times about bleeding out fish. I talk about it, and people have been in touch with me about what it is. So basically, you don't want to leave fish with guts and blood in them if you want the best meat. So in this bit, I'm going to dispatch fish and I'm going to bleed them. If you don't want to watch that, skip the next couple of minutes or switch off. Lots of channels avoid this. It's part and parcel of it, so I'm going to show you how I do it. So I've kept those mackerel alive. Dispatching them, you can either take a cosh, which I use for bass and the like. You can put a finger inside the mouth and your thumb on the back of the head and just break their necks. That kills them straight off. What I do, because it's just a very quick and easy way of doing it, is take your filleting knife and it just goes in literally through the spinal cord and down. That's it, the fish is dead, straight in the bucket, and it'll bleed out. And it's as simple as that. It's not a pleasant part of the process particularly, but it is part of the process. So I'm going to do those other 5 fish just to bleed them out. They'll stay like that in the bucket of water for normally just 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll put them in a clean bucket of seawater and then I'll bring you back. Hopefully you can see this okay. So there's our lovely prime mackerel, bled out and just gutted. There are different ways of doing this. Some people do it from the head. I personally do it from the tail. I think it's easier to feel the bones, but that's just me. It's the way I've always done it. They're very simple to prepare. Just one fillet, turn him over. That's the second fillet, that goes to the gulls. Rinse off. It's working well. We're still at sea. Okay, so that's your basic fillet if you want it like that. Next you've got your rib bones. So just turn the knife inside. That bit to the gulls, keep that, brilliant for tipping feathers. And then finally there's a row of bones down the middle, and there's also a little bloodline down there as well, which you don't have to do this, but just carefully, not all the way through, just trim down the side of those bones. And then either with a pair of pliers or your fingers you can get hold of that middle bit and just pull that out, and that's the bones, but also that bloodline gone. So you're not actually getting rid of that much flesh, but you're getting rid of that bloodline as well. So again, that goes to the gulls. So there's your bone-free fillet. Final thing you can do, and this is fiddly, I don't always do this, in fact I rarely do this. If you're putting it in a bouillabaisse or fish soup or something like that, mackerel's got two skins, and if you just grab a pair of pliers, like my rusty old boat ones here, you can, he says, grab hold of the outer skin. Like I say, I rarely do this because it's fiddly. There it is coming. Grab hold of the outer skin. I'm never going to edit those out. And then that outer skin will just peel off. So the outer skin is a bit tough, but so if you were putting the soup or something like that, you can get rid of that. But if you're just frying or grilling or barbecuing, there's absolutely no need to do it. But that's that gone. The other two reasons for not doing that are the little tiny and shiny and very sticky scales go absolutely everywhere. So in fact I think there's some on the lens now. Yeah, I don't like doing it on the boat because it makes a mess, and it's certainly not getting done in the kitchen at home. Okay, so that's it. I'll crack on with the rest of these fish and then head in. End of the day reward. Cheers, girls.
Cheers! Cheers!